My guest today is Ivo Georgiev. Ivo is the CEO and founder of Ambire Wallet, which is, a fascinating looking Web3 wallet. The idea, of course, is to create a Web3 wallet that just works. Couldn't be simpler than that. Welcome to the show, Ivo.
Hello, Angie. Thanks for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
It is a pleasure. Hey, and I am excited to have you here, Ivo. Let's do what we do at the beginning of the show. It would be super cool if you could please introduce yourself. I would love to hear just a little bit of your background story. What have you been doing in the lead up to founding, Ambire Wallet?
Of course, that's a very good question, and I think we have a good story. So I'm Ivo. I'm, as you said, the founder and the CEO of Ambire Wallet. And how I got here, I've been really interested in coding since a very young age. Probably since 10 years old, I started coding games in Python initially, then moved on to more serious things. But I started as a game developer. Then, while I was in high school, I created my own Linux distribution, which made it to top 9 in DistroWatch, which is a ranking for Linux distributions. Then after this, after graduating high school, I started a video streaming media center, similar to Plex and Kodi, if you've heard about it. And it's called Streamio. And it made it really big, but it took a lot of effort. It took like 3 or 4 years of my life to get it off the ground. But it's a mass consumer product, and right now it has over 40 million signups. And after Streamio, we really hit this wall of how do we monetize it effectively. And we found that most of the ad networks on the market were not transparent and kind of a little bit scammy. So at this point, Ethereum was gaining traction, and I wasn't that much into crypto. I only mined a bit of Bitcoin in high school to pay for like a cloud server or something. I deeply regret that now, but I didn't have any money back then. So I wasn't that much into crypto, but then me and my co-founder Dimo, we figured out that Ethereum was perfect for a new transparent ad network. So this is how we started ADEX, which is our first crypto project. And then after some years in ADEX, we tried onboarding publishers and advertisers to our transparent ad network, but having them onboarded through MetaMask was a really big pain. And having to onboard marketing people onto Web3 and having them write down these seed phrases or install browser extensions, this was just really a huge pain. And this was about 2020, 2021. It was also the DeFi summer. And DeFi was incredibly difficult, as you know. It required multiple transactions to get something simple going on. So we were building this account abstraction wallet back that was the very early days of account abstraction as part of the ADEX platform to onboard publishers and advertisers more easily. And then we figured out with the DeFi summer, okay, let's spin this into a new product because we're solving a very big problem here. And we're solving the problem of getting people onboarded into this new generation of financial products. So it's worth making it its own product. So that's how Ambire started. And in late 2021, we launched the first product, the Web Wallet, which was really similar to what we had in ADEX. It used email and password for authentication. But then over time, we figured that the best way to get the crypto natives would be to make a browser extension because that's the most composable. It connects to dApps the best way because the web wallet is kind of clunky in that way. If you've ever used Safe with dApps, you would know what I'm talking about. And that's how we created the Ambire extension. And then Ethereum launched Spectra, or actually, then Ethereum accepted 7702. Which was just a big game changer for us because so far the entire account abstraction world has been like really handicapped in that it requires users to create new accounts. So this was finally solved, and this is why Ambire is rising rapidly in popularity right now.
Yeah, got it. Thank you. A lot of ground covered there. Thank you, Ivo. But you're exactly right. As you've explained, you went down one path with the account abstraction path, thinking that was the right thing to do at the time, but maybe ahead of the game. But as you've identified, that has been solved now, I guess, with the picture update. So I guess what how would you describe, if we start kind of from the beginning, how would you describe a good kind of, just a good, simple, clean Web3 wallet today in 2025? What should that look like?
So that's a very good question. I would say it boils down to security, first of all, because everyone cares about security and everyone is extremely paranoid. And even people who think they don't care about security, they're still extremely paranoid in their workflows. The last few bear markets have been brutal, not only in terms of price action, but also in terms of hacks. And this has made people really just generally scared of self-custody and just generally scared of crypto, right? Especially with all the FTX stuff, with some crazy wallet hacks that people never imagined could happen, like the safe hack. So I would say security is the number one thing that one wallet needs to have. It's like the foundation. If you have like the pyramid of self-fulfillment, this would be on the bottom. Then after that, I would say it's performance, because MetaMask has lost a lot of users just by being slow and just by being clunky. And why performance matters? Because our market is very dynamic. Prices change like over the hour, and market movements are very, very, very violent. So if you're a DeFi user, you want to be able to like rebalance your Aave position or move assets between from one wallet to another. And if the wallet is slow, this is creating you stress because you have to wait before you give it a command. So this is creating stress for the users, and it's absolutely unacceptable. So performance would be like higher up on the pyramid. And then I would say the number one thing would be, so not the number one, the topmost on the pyramid would be composability. And by composability, I mean the ability to connect it to any dApp and work with that dApp securely in a way that you don't feel endangered by connecting to something you don't know. So it's again something very similar to security, but basically what I mean is a product that allows you to use your magic internet money freely on the new internet.
Yeah, makes perfect sense, Ivo. And explain again. So you did begin to explain why, a browser wallet is kind of the best place to be for a Web3 wallet, and that's, I guess, part of that is just because that's where people live, doing the kind of things that they want to do. So it makes sense, right?
Absolutely. I think the future is cross-platform. But if you look at crypto natives right now, at this very moment, what they tend to do is they tend to do the serious things, the big DeFi operations on a laptop or a PC. And the mobile apps, they think of them as companions. So the mobile apps, they think of them as like maybe let's check my portfolio or let's send someone money for lunch. They think of them as limited companions, and this is the future that we're trying to create at Ambire. You using your like big money, so to speak, like your net worth would be managed on your laptop, and then you would have a companion mobile app. But also you can think of, especially our generation, millennials. We tend to do like when we do a big bank transaction, we open the laptop. We don't like on Revolut. You might send someone cash for lunch, or you might send someone casual money. But when you do like a very big transfer, like you're buying property, you're buying a car, you usually go to the web interface of your bank. So this is like hard coded in the brain. And then the other very big reason why I think extensions are a big deal is composability, because the way we see the future of Web3, it's in the name, right? It's web. So you need to be able to use your money on any website. And right now we call them dApps, but let's say website. And let's assume that this will be built into the browser in the future. And this is a very big deal because this is what Web3 is about. This is how it differentiates from Web2. In Web2, you can do anything, but you don't have full financial freedom. And Web3 fixes that. And then my final point here would be single sign-on, which is not dependent on Google or Apple or any big corporation, because your Ethereum account is just a private key. It's just a bit of cryptography that is mathematically proven. And your Google account or Apple account, it's obviously always going to be dependent on a corporation. So having the ability to log in with your Ethereum account onto any website is a very big deal. And this is why we see the wallet built into the browser in the future. And finally, I would touch on embedded wallets, because embedded wallets are also a big deal. But the way I see things is, if there is a website which onboards people with an embedded wallet because they don't have an extension, that's perfectly fair. But in the future, when that user wants to take advantage of the Web3 composability, they will need to have like a global account which they share between all websites. A very simple futuristic example of this would be, let's say that I buy some property or some real world asset, and I get an NFT for it. I want to list that NFT in OpenSea, or I want to put it as a collateral in Aave. And this is all about composability. It's not, if OpenSea had an embedded wallet, I wouldn't be able to use the same embedded wallet to go on Aave and to use this NFT as collateral. So I think the future is composable.
Yeah, very much agree, Ivo. And I relate to the idea as well that, you know, when you're doing a large transaction, or you're making some kind of, more important decision than perhaps, you know, just buying a coffee or trading a simple NFT. When you're making those large transactions, people do generally tend to use a laptop, because they'll often want to have different screens, because you might be checking Twitter or X to see if there's some kind of news affecting what you're doing, or you're going to have different financial market screens open. And I think that just makes sense. But another thing that's important, of course, for Web3 wallets, and you touched on it a bit, Ivo, is of course just the idea of, you know, the perennial problem in crypto, which is, you know, user experience. And that's always been a little bit of a challenge, just because of the nature of blockchain transactions. So how do you guys at Ambire think of, what do you guys think about UX? Do you have a particular philosophy in terms of how you apply?
Absolutely. I think our previous background of creating consumer products really helps a lot here. But what I would say is a couple of things. So first of all, what I already said about like the pyramid of self-fulfillment of wallets, security, performance, and composability, I think this is all very deeply tied to UX. And I think that there is a very big misconception that UX is not compatible with security. I think that's probably the biggest problem that most founders of crypto wallets have, thinking that those two are not really are actually like a trade-off between the two. It's actually the very opposite. But for you to be able to achieve this synergy between the two, you need to be able to have account abstraction, but that's another topic. My point here is that user experience is not only giving the user the ability to do things easily and quickly, it's also giving the people mental peace. Because, okay, you might give them a one-click experience for something, but if they don't feel comfortable using this one-click experience and it doesn't relay enough information back to the user about what's actually being done, then the user experience is actually not good. It's poor. And that it's, again, the name is in the definition, user experience. We're not talking about speed running your wallet. We're talking about user experience. So sometimes it makes more sense to have more confirmation screens, like one additional confirmation screen if you're about to make something big with your money, rather than optimizing for click count. So that's one of the things that I wanted to say. I don't think security and UX are mutually exclusive. And then the second thing I wanted to say is that our approach, our philosophy is doing user interviews. And this is something that we want to scale a lot. And it's something that helps shape the wallet and helps make it, I think, the best in terms of user experience. And the way this works is we tell people, we give them the terms of the user interview, we jump on a call, they share the screen, and we give them like 5 tasks. And they have to complete the 5 tasks, and they have to speak loudly and openly about what they find difficult, what they find easy, what they found confusing. And we do those iterations every few months. So we do like 1 round of user interviews, and then for 1 month or 2 months we fix the issues that we discovered in those user interviews. And the improvement in product retention has been enormous since after each round of user interviews. So that's pretty much our approach.
Yeah, fascinating. I enjoyed that. Thank you, Ivo. Like, and you mentioned, smart accounts is of course a separate subject, but it's a big one. It's an interesting one, and you guys were very early to, yeah, like the idea of what an account abstraction wallet could look like with smart accounts. What made you jump on that trend early?
So it was again trying to solve a market need. Back in the days when we were building ADEX, the ad platform part of ADEX, we just found that people who are in crypto marketing, they don't have wallets already, they don't have MetaMask installed. So having to onboard them onto that was a pain. And we figured, okay, what if we make it we make the account login with email and password. And back in the day, it wasn't really called smart. It wasn't called smart accounts. It was a very very early thing of having a smart contract as your account. But this is what enabled the combination of convenience and security, because we could have done like very convenient embedded wallets in the form of one single private key, but this would be very easy to lose. Like when you clear your browser storage, you would lose the private key. We could have done an entirely custodial solution, but this is difficult from a regulatory perspective, and also, again, not ideal for your personal security, because if we get hacked, your account gets compromised with us. So neither of the existing solutions were working, right? Not custodial solutions, not embedded wallets. And the only possible solution was to develop sort of like a hybrid that combines the best of both worlds. And the only solution for that was a smart contract. So that's when we started building contract accounts. I think it was late 2019. And back in the day, we absolutely knew it was possible. It wasn't like dark magic, because every multi-sig on the Ethereum network was already a smart contract. So this was a real thing that already existed. So yeah, that's pretty much the origin story.
I like it. Yeah, and yeah, I like the reference to dark magic there. If there's anything that is dark magic, it is Ethereum. But yeah, in terms of like those kind of the things that smart accounts, if you want to use that term, that are able to do things like, you know, gas abstraction, transaction batching, and on all that kind of stuff. How do you approach? Yeah, just kind of building in features like that. Is that still what you like to do to make it easier for users?
Absolutely, those things are still very valuable. But what we discovered over the years, that it's only a part of the picture. And I think in that regard, many startups that were building crypto wallets got kind of on this slippery slope of maximizing account abstraction. And we went through the same mistake and thinking that those features are going to make or break the wallet. But in reality, when you jump on a user interview, you see, okay, the user enjoys gas abstraction very much. They enjoy batching very much, even if they don't see it. Like even if we like make approvals disappear, people enjoy that a lot. But it's not the only factor in building a wallet, right? If you have those features, but then the wallet is super slow and it doesn't give you what you want, and it doesn't give you the feeling of security and actual security, then you're not going to use it. And again, many account abstraction wallets got built with that idea of solving those problems, but they introduced a few other problems, like, for example, having to deploy the smart account. This is a very big step back, right, from your ways. And then the other thing was not having the same address on every chain. For some account abstraction wallets, this is also a very big step back, or not supporting arbitrary EVM networks, or not supporting like your favorite layer 2. So those were all steps back that account abstraction wallets took. And we put all of our time into solving these like steps back that account abstraction makes, to deliver the best from both worlds, to deliver like all of those features: gas abstraction, transaction batching, getting rid of approvals, even account recovery in the future, without taking those steps back and without compromising the cross-chain nature of EOAs. And we achieved this, but Pectra made it much more accessible for users, because we had it done with our own smart accounts, but people still had to move money to the smart account. And now with Pectra, they don't have to do that. They can do this on their existing account. So it's kind of like a very good fit for us, Pectra in general, because we were already moving in this direction of combining the best from account abstraction and TOAs. So yeah, those features are still absolutely important for us, but it's not the whole picture.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, EOA is very important as well. What about the EIP 7702? I think, right. So that's
Yeah.
getting quite a lot of buzz at the moment. Is that like a game changer, or is it just like another little step forward?
Very, very tough to answer this. I would say it's both in a way. So let me explain. So for us in particular, it's a game changer because we already had the smart accounts, which we call hybrid account abstraction, which combine the best from EOAs and smart accounts, right? We already had that before Pectra. But with Pectra, now we can apply the same features to EOAs. So now your EOA also has transaction batching. Your EOA also gets rid of approvals. Your EOA can also like pay gas in stables or even not pay gas at all, or pay gas in a cross-chain manner. So this is huge. People don't realize the impact of this. You go on a new layer 2, and right now the experience is absolutely terrible. You have to get natives from somewhere. You have to get your account funded. With Pectra, that's no longer the case. With the combination of Pectra and Ambire, and obviously other wallets will follow as well. But yeah, in that regard, it's a game changer. But at the same time, precisely because those features are not a silver bullet, this is why it's gonna feel like a small step. I think it's gonna feel like a small step, but the impact long term of this is actually gonna be huge because it's gonna solve, like long term, it's gonna solve all of the big pain points of Ethereum wallets.
Yeah. Very good. Another thing you guys are doing, Evo, is there's a DAO, right? And there is a token, of course. And
Yes.
of course, it's called Wallet, the Wallet token. So just, yeah, explain what should we know? And of course, because it's a token, there's a rewards program. So I believe season 1 is on the way quite soon. So look, maybe just bring us up to date in terms of what the plans are with the DAO, the token, and the rewards.
Absolutely. So the thing is, I spoke a lot about composability and about Web3, but when I think of more fundamentally, like what this product will end up being, what it is now, and where it will go, it will essentially be the gateway to DeFi, the gateway to Web3. So this is like the layer that stands between users and the next generation of the internet. So as such, we believe that it should also be tokenized, and it should not have the traditional model of like IPO or securities or any like traditional ownership. And we believe that it should be at least to a very big extent owned by the community. And the reason for this is that it needs to become credibly neutral, just like the Ethereum protocol itself. Because if it's not credibly neutral, then it's a zero-sum game, and it's something that we all lose from. Let me explain with a practical example. So if we, like for example, take, I'm not going to call it a bribe, but imagine it as a bribe. If we take a bribe to like put a very big dApp in a very big place in Ambire, then this is going to lose the trust in Ambire in general as a neutral layer between the users and the Web3. So the idea is to allow dApps to promote themselves in the wallet eventually through the token in a credibly neutral and fair to everyone way. So this is why the token exists, to tokenize this attention that the wallet represents from the users. And the token also is structured in a way that controls the DAO, and the DAO absorbs all of the revenue from the wallet. So the token indirectly exposes token holders to the cash flow from the wallet. So this is also quite a big point. In regards to rewards is actually the fair distribution mechanism of the token. It's not so much rewards, it's actually fair distribution, because the way it's distributed is by usage multiplied by the balance you have on your wallet. So this is a way to like fairly distribute the token based on user engagement, because obviously TVL is really important for any protocol, including a wallet. But then for us, usage is also really important. What good is like 1 billion TVL if no one actually makes transactions? So this is why we have this multiplier, usage times balance. It's actually square root of usage times square root of balance to give people a chance against whales. So yeah, this is the fair distribution mechanism, and we just started season 1, which heavily favors EOAs and heavily favors 7702 transactions, to also align it with Ethereum, to also align it with like the future of the EVM world, and to push Spectra into adoption. So yeah, that's pretty much it. The way it works is you open rewards.ambire.com, you connect it with the Ambire extension, you mint an NFT which is like your character. This is a bit of gamification to make it fun. And then from that point onward, you get points for everything you use in Ambire, which includes like dApps. So like you go on Aave, you rebalance your loan or whatever, you go on Uniswap, you provide liquidity, you get a loan from Aave, you do something like this, you put it in Curve. All of this gives you usage points, Ambire XP. And then all of this counts towards your reward basis for the token distribution. It's in seasons, so at the end of each season, we distribute the tokens in staked form, so you cannot unlock it immediately. And then you can use this token to vote in the DAO or to eventually absorb DAO revenue.
I love it. And of course, listeners, if you do want to, have a go and engage with the Ambire wallet, easiest way to do that is go to ambire.com, which is spelled AMBIRE.com is the website. Look, Ivo, just as we finish up this part of the podcast, cast your mind forward 10 years, something like that. Ambire Wallet Web3, what does that world look like? What will people be able to do with Ambire then?
So 10 years is a huge time, especially in crypto. But a quick answer of this is exactly what it does now, just at a very different scale. So I imagine that you would be able to log into GitHub with Ambire, and it would be kind of invisible in the first in the first interaction. It would be invisible. So you would just have your Ethereum account managed by Ambire, and you would be able to log in on any website and interact with any financial mechanism, as I said, Aave, Uniswap, etc. So the same thing, but at a very different scale, and it would be even easier to use. Like, for example, right now we rely heavily on hardware wallets, and we still rely on the seed phrase. In the future, I imagine that the seed phrase would be less of a thing, so people would still be able to use hardware wallets, people who are very familiar with how this works. But people who are completely new to Web3 would be able to use their phones, passkeys, web authentication, and all the different modern authentication mechanisms that you have. And yeah, same thing, but at a different scale.
I love it. All right. Well, I reckon it's time to start to finish off the show, Ivo. And we do that, of course, by running you through the very famous Crypto Conversation hot take round. Are you up for it?
Of course.
Of course, Ivo, I'm just going to run some questions at you, and I just want you to give me your honest answers, hot take style, if you like. Question 1 for you is, where would you say that you sit on the Bitcoin maximalist to multi-chain opportunist spectrum?
Again, I would say that those things are not necessarily mutually exclusive. Bitcoin maximalist is mutually exclusive with anything, but Bitcoin aligned is not mutually exclusive with multi-chain. My hot take is I sit somewhere in the middle. I wouldn't say that this is a hot take. This is becoming more and more of a thing. I believe that both Bitcoin and Ethereum are extremely valuable, and those are generally the chains that I really believe in. They're extremely valuable, but in different ways.
Yeah, I think I couldn't really have articulated that better myself, Ivo. A very nuanced answer, very diplomatic answer, but really pragmatic and true. What would you say, though, Ivo, is your firmest conviction crypto opinion?
That's a very tough one, but I would loop back to the wallets, and I would say that UX is not mutually exclusive with security. This is so engraved in my philosophy and in Ambire's philosophy, and I already articulated this quite a bit. But generally, it can be extrapolated to many things, right? If you have better UX in crypto, phishing wouldn't be a thing. Phishing is a direct byproduct of poor UX. So yeah, that's it.
Very, very well said. I like it. Look, we talked about this a little bit earlier, Ivo. You know, the idea, Bill Gates famously said we tend to overestimate what we can accomplish in 2 years and underestimate what we can accomplish in 10. So I know you kind of talked about, what Ambire Wallet might look like in 10 years' time, but I don't know, maybe just go a bit wider, Ethereum, Web3, even Bitcoin, crypto in general. What does it look like in 10 years' time?
I think it would be hopefully it would be much less of a divide between the Web3 and the Web2 world. So
Yes.
the way it works now is we are doing our own thing, and nobody really believes in us from the normies, so to speak. People think that either it's a scam or it's a scam, but I should be part of it. Like it's scammy, but I should be trading shitcoins. By people, I mean the mass, like not the crypto people, but everyone else. And I think in 10 years, what we could achieve is having Web3 engraved in the lives of many people who are now like maybe teenagers. And what I mean by that is potentially having your house mortgaged on Aave, or your car bought with a loan that you took from Fluid, or something like that, or generally Revolut being sort of not replaced, but Revolut being on Web3.
I like it. All right. Another way of thinking about this, Evo, is a quote by William Gibson, who famously said that the future is already here. It's just not evenly distributed. Now, with that in mind, Evo, can you think of an example of the future being here right now, but most people aren't aware of it?
Definitely 100% Pectra and account abstraction and smart area ways, because I actually think that we didn't touch upon this quite a bit in detail. But what I meant earlier when I said that it will be a revolution, but currently it looks like a small step. What I meant by that is transaction batching is just like the surface of it. What we can be doing in some years is dApps to be, or websites to completely change their model in how they interact with the wallet. So you no longer have a pop-up that says, please approve this and this and this. You'll be authorizing the website once for a very long time, and then you'll be interacting in the website as if your wallet doesn't exist, as if your wallet is just your digital identity, which it should be. So yeah, this is something that I believe the future is here. It's just very like very few dApps support this, and all of them are prototypes, so it's very unevenly distributed.
Yeah, very well said, Evo. Brings us nicely to the final question, which is, what is your favorite science fiction book, film, or TV show?
Oh, that's a cool question. I would say it's Foundation, although I haven't read it in like 20 years, so 15 maybe. I don't know. I haven't read it in a while, but I think that it's also like interestingly and coincidentally, it's also very related with what we're doing in Web3 and crypto in general, because the storyline is about this guy who calculates how to predict the future, because everything is deterministic, right? Kind of. In physics, many things are deterministic. So in theory, if you have enough information, you will be able to calculate the future. So this is all very related to everything we're doing in trying to like even use AI to like manifest the future and to like create this closed loop of building a technology which then invents the next technology.
Yeah, Foundation, the Isaac Asimov. Yeah, is that right? Yeah, I think
Yep,
so.
absolutely.
Yeah, an absolute classic there. Thank you for that, Evo. And thank you for coming and spending some time with us today. Look, this was a lot of fun. I very much enjoyed it. Just to close it out, again, do please tell people why they should use Ambire Wallet and where they can go to download it. What should they do? Where should they go? And shout out your socials as well, of course.
I think they should be using it because it's a secure Web3 wallet that just works, and it's the next generation of Ethereum user experience, and they should definitely give it a try. And they can get it at ambire.com. This is ambire.com. And it's very simple. You just install an extension and you get started. Ideally, if you have a hardware wallet, that's the best case because it will just read the accounts on your hardware wallet and allow you to use the same accounts. You can do the same thing with a seed phrase that you have or with a private key. So yeah, this is it. There is nothing much more to it than just trying it out. And also, it's very worth noting that we're absolutely available almost 24/7 to answer your concerns, questions, etc. on our social channels, on X, on Telegram. We even have a Discord. So we are very open to talking to users and potential partners.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ivo. All the best, and bye for now.
Bye. Thank you so much for having me.